And welcome back to my 6th video on how you can play Space Engineers. But before we get in this video good and proper, I have to explain why this video is a little late. Well, first off, I upgraded my hardware to a new PC, minus a new GPU. However, this PC does contain a decent processor, an i7. And I know that some of you are probably now quaking in fear, especially those who build their own hardware. But don't worry. Before the OS was cloned over, I dealt with that problem. All thanks to this beautiful man letting us know that the most current processors from Intel are not exactly stable. Therefore, I'm also sharing the same advice. Please update your BIOS. Follow tutorials. Not this one, because this is not about updating your BIOS. This is about Space Engineers. But if you're running Intel processors, please make sure your BIOS is up to date. Especially desktop. Anyway, enough rambling. Let's get to the tutorial of Space Engineers good and proper. And here we are. Exactly where we left off. We planted some stuff. And now, let's get to work to build a refinery. And I don't mean this one. I mean a true refinery. This one. The big one. The big, expensive one. We're gonna need a lot of iron for that. So let's mine some more iron and get ready. And come to think of it, I also forgot to add this whole recharge the batteries he's blocked like I did on the rover. For those who don't remember that one, please look up that video if you wish to, but here's a quick reminder how to do it. Okay, menu, event controller, after connected, add this block, setup, groups, if it's connected, then recharge on, if not connected, recharge off. And that's done. Now, let's go get some more resources. Well, I didn't have much success in scouting around, because we need to find gold and platinum, still. But considering we're waiting for daybreak, let's begin with building a place where we can have that refinery. First things first, I need to move this again. Don't worry, I'm only going to turn it like, what, 90 degrees? That way we have a safe space to then build the refinery, which I think will be here. Like so. This will be nice and safe. Guess we'll build off in here. There we go. I've just finished constructing a piece of conveying where we're going to build the refinery and the other part we need for advancement, which is the real assembler. And I rotated this 90 degrees so that this is nice and out of the way. And like I said before, I added a event controller so that this thing's batteries also are on recharge. That all being said, let's get to work. The real refinery is a big block. It's 2 by 2 by 4. It is huge. Huge. We have a initial cost of 1,100 steel plates. So, let's just get this thing built. We're going to build it off this conveying and think about a piece of flooring later. And just because we can't do this now, I'm going to show you a different way how to build these kind of things. Because if you do it the actual way with this thing assembling and we're going to go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, it's going to take forever. So, instead, let's go to tool blocks and add one of these. No, not the grinder. Not this. Aha, this one. The welder. Yes, just like the drills, there are also block versions of all the tools, like the welder and the grinder. Now, let's turn this welder on. And as you can see, it already put some components in the refinery. But not all of them, because we don't have all of them. But now we can just right-click as usual, go over here, go to production, and now, while this assembler is building the components, this welder will now put those components in the refinery. And gradually, it will be built. The only disadvantage is this will not count towards progression. Yes, I said it. Once we have built the refinery, this will not count towards progression, which means we can't make these things which will be unlocked. In order to unlock them, we'll need to grind it down to below functional, then weld it back up, and we'll have it unlocked. And in the meantime, let's just let this thing do its thing. Well, as you can see, I have already harvested some of those crops. And I'm now specifically growing veggies and grain because we lack them. We have plenty of seeds and spores for fruit and mushrooms, but we're lacking... But what we're lacking, we're just going to put on double production for now. It isn't fully grown yet. Don't harvest while it's fully grown. You're going to destroy it. And the whole block setup we did in the previous tutorial is doing exactly what it's doing. As you can see, this sort of block is off because there is some ice in this cargo container. Ice that can be used in the irrigation system to keep everything nice and hydrated. The plants will not die as long as nobody's gonna keep that door open. Luckily, that ain't gonna happen. We better also make sure that we have plenty of iron in the base, because if the iron runs out, this thing won't be constructed. So let's go mine some more. Well, I got some extra resources I think will be good, but here is a pro tip. When those tips are red, don't get close. That hurts, as you can see by my health bar. And admire the work, it's almost done. And it's done. It's done. And as you can hear, it's also refining some material. Probably some ores that were still in the ship. But, as I just stated, we have not unlocked these. In order to unlock these, we now need to, first, turn this off, otherwise we'll be fighting it. Grind down the refinery until below functional. Weld it back up. And voila, blocks unlocked. We now have unlocked these blocks, including modules. But before I explain what modules are, let's build that true assembler. Beginning by grinding this down, we no longer need it. And for simplicity's sake, let's just build it off of here. And we have finished the actual assembler. With this, we have now also unlocked more blocks, as you can see here. Equally important, the actual assembler produces more components, such as the gravity components, explosives, medical components, reactor components, thruster components. And what we actually need, these things. We need them to upgrade the refinery. Because, for performance reasons, these blocks cannot be built in multiples, because that will hit performance. However, we can put modules on these things to make them better. Which leads me now into explaining modules. This is the speed module. It will make things go faster at the cost of some more energy. This is the power efficiency module. This will make a block more power efficient, meaning it won't waste as much energy doing a thing. And this is the yield module. The yield module only works on the refinery. You can put it on an assembler, but the assembler will be like, this block doesn't work. So, yeah. However, those components we need, the superconductors, are a vital component in making these kind of modules. The problem is, they need gold, and we don't have gold. Even worse, I haven't found gold. I have found silver. But we need gold. And unfortunately, nighttime is not an easy time to look for ores. So, we'll need to continue waiting. Ah, they're done growing. Let me show you how to harvest. Simply select 100% and harvest. Again, is 100% grown, therefore, harvest. And now let's replant the crops as normal. Some fruit here. Veggies here. Grain here. And shrooms here. But now that we have the real assembler and the real refinery, we technically don't need these anymore. The basic assembler and the basic refinery can go because they are now a hindrance. We're going to begin by removing this one. Apparently there were some parts left. Oh, cobalt, okay. Well, let's avoid those shenanigans by doing a little sorting. We can hit these tabs for different effects. For example, this is the inventory of the engineer. But by switching this button, we now switch to the grid storage. Now, let's go other one and keep this the same. But now look for basic refinery. And for now, let's put all of its materials in storage. And grind this down now. And assert as well. And now goodbye. But now this isn't connected anymore. We need to reconnect it. Let's just put there a second O2 unit. And now, in the event we're collecting ice again, we'll produce oxygen and hydrogen at twice the rate. Let's just put a block here for now, something nice looking. Let's see. Let's place this one, the classic corridor, just to fill the space. Now that that is done, let's see if we can actually do some moduling. Now, we can't, as I explained, use yield modules because we need those superpower conductors. However, we can, however, place them already and build them later. As you can see, these slots are meant for upgrades. There are 2 on each module, and there are 8 on the refinery and the assembler. So, let's place some yield modules like so, and build them up later, once we have some gold. Now, the yield module doesn't work on the assembler as I just explained. However, we can make it faster and more energy efficient by using the power efficiency modules and adding the speed module. And because these don't use anything fancy in terms of materials, we can just build them. Power efficiency modules are up and running. As you can see by this stat spread, energy efficiency has gone up like over 200%. The speed is still rather normal though. And both speed modules are now also ready. Once this thing produces some more parts, it'll now produce it at 300%, which is rather fast. Daybreak is soon on us, but it will still be a short while. Let's just create some flooring here, so that it doesn't look like it's just floating in midair, or being held by this one pipe. Still waiting for daybreak. However, a quick explanation about the plants again. The mushrooms and the veggies both have finished growing. They're ready to harvest. The fruit, however, has not finished yet. And the grain also hasn't finished yet, even though we planted these plants around the same time. A quick reminder. These two grow faster than these two. Well, the sun has risen by the looks of it. So, now that we have some sunlight to work with, let's do some prospecting. We still need to find gold and platinum. And it's slightly easier to do that around daytime, because now it's a little easier to spot the yellow smudges on the moon's surface, which could indicate ores. So let's go on a prospecting mission. And here's my pro tip once you find some ore veins. Make a GPS of what you found. That way, you won't be disappointed once you look for more ores, and you're disappointed because you found the same ore vein again. Hello, hello, hello! My lucky day! We have found some gold! Let's make a quick GPS and fill it with the periodic table initials for gold and silver, because that's here too, which is AG for silver and AU, not EU, but AU for gold. Well, I found some gold. However, it's a very thin sliver of ore. And that's to say, this ore patch is very flat. Which is a problem, because now that I've ground some out, I have more stone than ore. I can work with this for now. However, the next load of gold we get in this place is gonna have to be pure gold. And for that, we'll need to do another adjustment and upgrade to this miner ship, which I hope is possible. Yeah, sure, it's possible. We can do it. The gold has been discovered. However, we still need one more ore, which is found only on moons. And that is platinum. So we're still going to check out on the way back all the other ore patches and see what there is. This one has iron. Anything else? Cobalt. And nickel. Doesn't make a GPS of that, otherwise we're gonna find it again if we don't. And be disappointed. Now, we're back at base. Let's safely reattach. And as you can see, the survival kit is still doing its part refining the rocks. And by the sound of it, the refinery is busy refining some gold. After it's done with all this gold, it will refine the stone. Next time, I obviously don't want to come back with such a colossal haul of stone while I only want the gold. We need to perform a little adjustment on this ship. And luckily, it can be done. I just need to figure out a way where it can be done best. Well, it looks like we're gonna have to do some major reorganizing again. Let's see. Yeah, we'll do a big conveyor sorter here, which we can't build because we don't have parts. Look at how fast that's building. Now, where were we? Ah, yeah. Conveyor sorter here. We'll do a conveyor frame. Not like so, because that's misplaced. Like so. And here, let's go to the small grid block. To the... not small grid. I meant the small sorter. No, we don't need that. What we need... yes, we do need this. There we go. You might be wondering what I'm building now. I am building a ejector system. These small connectors can also be set up to eject things. Once we build this sorter and the frame, we'll set it up. And once it's built and set up, we'll eject the stone that we don't need and only get the gold, which is way nicer than having your refinery be busy with useless rock. Now, let's rethink our landing system. Let's build a block. Let's build a bunch of blocks, like so-ish. And below those blocks, let's put another plate. Now, first things first. Let's disconnect so it's a little easier to set things up. First things first. Obviously, we need to reset the landing gear that we just dismantled. Set that to switch lock. Now in the K menu, let's turn off this because we don't want to just grab the ground when we don't want to. Seriously, why is this the default? It's almost as annoying as no medium hydrogen tank. And now, let's take those tiny connectors, find that big sorter, and let's just call it dumper, because it will dump the stone. Now, let's turn it off for now while setting things up. Whitelist stone. And now, with all the tiny ejectors, let's do this and this. Now, once we mine for more gold, which we will need, we'll be able to dump it out. In fact, let's do that right now. Don't forget to add the group to here with a toggle on off. Well, in the meantime, keeping an eye open for more ore patches, because we still need platinum. at the very least. We found everything else on the moon except platinum. Whoa. Here is a bunch of ore patches. What is it? What is it? Nickel, silicon, magnesium. Now, we're back at the gold mine. Let's test it out. Let's turn it on. Go back down to the gold. Let's clear out a little more space. And let's get to it. And as you can see, the stone is being dumped out, leaving only the gold behind. There we go. I think this would be enough gold to continue with our operations. And no annoying stone to get in the way. Now that all the stone has been ejected, we'll turn off our ejector system and return to base. Whilst, of course, keeping an eye open for those ore veins. We still need platinum after all. Iron, cobalt, nickel. More of the same. Better just make a GPS of it. You might be wondering, don't you need to dig up some silver? We found some silver already at the base, so I don't have to. I do see another ore patch here. Silver and cobalt. And hurrah! Looky what we found here. The platinum. Let's label that PT, and because I also found nickel here, let's label that NI. We won't be needing to look for more resources because we now found all the resources that are available on the moons. We're good and cozy. Now we're refining pure gold, and we have other resources still in our cargo container. Let's build those yield modules. Yield modules will increase the yields of ore refined. Let's just sort all those superconductors all the way here in the bottom for the obviously same reasons as other things. And now we're back with our plants, and they're all ready to be harvested. The grain can be harvested, the fruit, the veggies, and the mushrooms. Let's put them in storage and replant. Let's go here, go to production, double check what we need. We need grain and veggies. So we're gonna one grain, fend the harvested grains, and one veggies, fend the harvested veggies. And replant. Now, let's have a look what we can produce with the food we have already harvested. What seems yummy? What seems delicious? Let's go for a veggie burger. Let's see if it... And it makes a veggie burger. Yummy. Veggies. We'll let this regrow and continue where we left off. Which is the building of our yield modules. There we go. All these yield modules are now done. Now, our yield is 200%. We effectively doubled our ore production. This is getting me excited. Let's go get some of the other ores we still need. Let's get some silver, then our cobalt mine, and this platinum we discovered, which apparently also has a bit of a stone mixed problem. It is worth it though. With platinum, we can not only make those thruster components with which we can make ion engines, we can also upgrade our tools to the highest tier. Well, I'm back from our little mining excursion. The refinery is still busy with the gold. However, I want to now do some other material. I now wanted to do the gold, the silver. So let's manually put all the stuff in and put together a rather important item. A really important item. An item which will be a decent upgrade than the survival kit, because it charges us up rather slowly, and there's one thing that can do it better. The medical room. The medical room is a respawn point, and it will recharge us much faster. So let's place it. Oh, well, I left space for it, by the way, here, so let's just build it here. First things first, I need to replace this one-piece conveyor with a T-piece. But by breaking that T-piece, now it has no resources to... So I have to manually shove it in there. Conveyoring restored. Let's build this medical room, which has one major thing you need to be aware of. Do you see the cargo port at the bottom and the top? That's the only connection point. It can't connect from the back, it can't connect from the sides. It only can connect from those two ports. If anything goes wrong, this thing will be floating around freely. Now, let's build up some floor and build this thing. There we go. Medical bay operational. Look how fast we have been recharged. A definite upgrade than the survival kit, which we no longer need. I seem to have left our ejector on. Pro tip, when you're done with it, please turn it off. You may never know if it's going to clutter up something. And I left this unfinished. Let's just finish it up. And instead of more algae farms, let's put this one, the oxygen farm. You might be thinking, is the oxygen farm part of this whole food DLC that just came out? No, the oxygen farm has been part of the game since early access. It's just rarely used. Why is it rarely used? You need 6 to supply one engineer with enough oxygen. And it needs the sun, and it, just like the algae farms, the oxygen farms needs power. So, why am I building it? This? I would like to take the edge off of my oxygen tank, so it doesn't need to rely on ice alone from the O2 generators. Why? Because I do want to add a hydrogen tank to the base, to be a fuel reserve for our ship. So, let's build those oxygen farms. Oxygen farms done. One, and by the looks of it, one is already producing some oxygen. Oh, it's dropping. Well, once they're all operational, they'll supply the oxygen tank with oxygen without the use of ice. It will cost a little bit more energy, though, but I think we can spare it. And now, we'll add to the base a hydrogen tank. There we go. Done. It's not producing any hydrogen. Correction, there's not any hydrogen being stored in it. That means the base must be out of ice. That means let's collect some more. And not only for hydrogen production or oxygen, we still need to also hydrate our hydroponics. So that means we need ice, ice, ice. You'll finish that sentence. I collected a load of ice. Now, let's also use the rover to get more ice. Attach the rover, and we're off. Don't forget to turn on the lights. Now, let's do like a BMW driver and hit our Park Anywhere button. Don't explain me how that happened. Alright, I'm not gonna think harder about this than I already am. We need the watery gold. You're wondering how I emptied my inventory that quickly? Alt, middle mouse. Remember, Alt, middle mouse. It empties your inventory into any cargo access you're looking at. And that's it. We have a full inventory in both the rover and myself. So let's go back and park up. And with that, both O2 generators are generating not just oxygen, but also hydrogen. And it's filling up this tank nicely. Yep, really nicely. We're already 27% and rising. Now that we have a large hydrogen tank here on the base, when this thing is in need of a refuel, all we need to do is set it to refuel. We'll just set it on the hotbar, and we'll set it to stockpile. Stockpile on and off. Once we're in need of a refuel, we'll just hit this button, and it will be refueled. Another fun thing about the medical bay is, unlike the survival kit, we can go to this space and change our character. Such as a different helmet, different gloves, different shoes, complete other different outfits. I'm pretty sure I've collected them all. And with that, we're pretty much done for today. We've done a lot of stuff. We have built a refinery, a real assembler, placed a hydrogen tank on the base, finished this whole apparatus, and collected the last few ores and materials. However, I think next time, which I also will think will be the last time, we'll get into really fun stuff. And with fun stuff, I mean the weapons. Until then, I'll see you all next time.